Hi, I'm Dr. Dranitsaris with today's episode of Relationships Live featuring the ENFJ. We're hosting Relationship Empowerment Month, bringing you insights and tips for each of the 16 personality types and our 8 striving styles. As you'll see by tuning into each episode, no two personality types are exactly alike. But when we understand what drives the behavior of each of the styles, how they bond, how they romance, you're more likely to have successful relationships with any style. Plus, you'll have the benefit of understanding why you behave the way you do in relationships based on your personality type. So let's kick off the ENFJ. ENFJs are the extroverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging in the Myers-Briggs world. And they are the ultimate people pleasers. They thrive on creating positive relations and making other people feel good. These are warm-hearted, beautiful souls. I love talking about them. I love writing about them because they deeply, deeply care about everybody that they come in contact with. And it's not unlike the ENFJ to meet someone and become fast friends because they can pretty much talk to anybody, but they're sensitive souls at the same time. And they're quick to pick up on any indifference or negativity from anyone, especially from their partner, which at that point it can make them feel pretty down on themselves because they take responsibility for other people's feelings and other people's happiness. One of the ENFJ's greatest gifts is their ability to see the very best in people, and this makes others feel truly admired and taken in. They have an incredible talent for finding common ground and building bridges between different people with differing opinions, making them a go-to mediator in any situation. Now, in the striving styles, we call the ENFJ the socializer, and their predominant need or the driving force in their personality is to be connected. And they connect by engaging in conversation with other people about what matters most to them. However, their focus on other people's perspectives can sometimes lead them to neglect their own ideas and beliefs. They can sometimes be accused of sitting on the fence and because they can see everything from different perspectives. At the end of the day, ENFJs are all about creating harmony and happiness in their relationships. And they get a real buzz from seeing others thrive and succeed. And they'll go out of their way to make that happen. So let's start with a few things you should know about the ENFJ in relationships. So it's their thing. Let's just call it as it is. Doing relationships is their thing. They can talk to anybody about anything. I once had a client say to me, an ENFJ client say to me, I could make a conversation with a tree. I could sit in the park and talk to a tree for a half an hour. They are so fluent in communication. So when it comes to relationships, they are like that kid in the candy store. They're just so excited to have someone by their side, especially with their partner, to be with them and in their world so they don't feel alone. That meets their need to be connected. And so with a romantic relationship, they like to be with their significant other at social events. They're extroverted. They like to go all out. They like to do things together, even if it means going grocery shopping if they can. They just can't get enough of those public displays of being together and affection. And they'll go to great lengths to make sure their partner feels special and loved. But on the other hand, as you know, with most extroverts, they like to have their life in the outer world. And so the ENFJ isn't one to be caught spending that quality time alone with their partner, or spending time on the more intimate parts of communication and relationship, just not their cup of tea. They thrive on being energized and the excitement of being around other people. So if you're looking for a quiet night in, you might want to look elsewhere than to the ENFJ to make that happen, or ENFJ. So let's talk about compromise, because that's one of the things that this very adaptable human being is master at. They'll bend over backwards to make sure their partner's happy and satisfied. They'll even adapt to their partner's preferences and needs, sometimes to the point of working around them instead of with them. It's like they're chameleons at times. The ENFJ has a bit of a tendency to put their own needs aside to please others. It's like they have a preconceived notion that says, I'm wonderful and special if I don't cause a fuss. So that's their need to stay connected, and they take responsibility for harmonious interactions all the time. That even if it means putting their own needs on hold, because it does make them feel special to be able to take care of others. It's a noble thought indeed, but it can prevent them from negotiating and standing up for themselves. And that idea that they're often finding themselves sitting on the fence, especially when there's multiple people. We've seen this a lot in the workplace, where an ENFJ won't make a decision because they'll be out of harmony with somebody else. So if you're in a relationship with an ENFJ, make sure you're checking in with them so that they will get their need met. So, and coming back to that idea of how ENFJs do intimacy, they often confuse intimacy with empathy. They don't really open up easily and share their own problems because they're more at home with listening to others, offering help, giving advice, and making sure the appropriately soothing comments are made to other people's problems. And they just don't like giving advice. They want others to follow it because that helps them maintain their positive self-esteem that they get for caretaking. But overall, ENFJs are loving and supportive partners who are dedicated to taking care of their partner's emotional and physical needs. They have visionary. They use their introverted intuition to really see the future needs and the future potential of their partner. And then they work really hard to help them get there. So these helpful individuals can actually believe that their partner loves them because of this unique ability and their ability to empathize and provide emotional support. They go out of their way to do everything that they can for their partner, taking over tasks that their partner could easily do themselves. And they may even insist that they take care of things, household chores, simple things like cooking and cleaning, because it gives them that sense of being purposeful, that they are needed and they have value to their partner. They feel that taking care of their partner in this way is an expression of their love and their commitment to them. Sometimes they can believe that their partner can't function without their unique and helpful qualities. However, their partner must be willing to admit they need help or some vulnerability or flaw to accept the ENFJ's help. And so you see that puts the ENFJ in that more dominant role when they're being helpful. And having to expose one's vulnerability is the job of their partner so that they can, again, as I said earlier, this is how they regulate their self-esteem by being ever so helpful and not letting anyone help them. For ENFJs, taking responsibility for their partner's feelings is just a standard practice. They make it their mission to fix them, even when they aren't broken or in need of help. And even when they've had a challenging day themselves, their focus remains on providing comfort and care to their partner. And I like to say that the ENFJ works for appreciation, and remember this if you're in a relationship with them, because you can easily trigger self-protective behaviors in them if they feel underappreciated. They'll internalize their disappointment and become upset with themselves. And this self-criticism leaves them feeling inadequate and emotionally drained. So here's the deal. So the deal that the ENFJ makes in relationships is their partner love them unconditionally and appreciate them, and they're the ones doing the help. And helping is a one-way street. Their partner can never make it seem that the ENFJ needs anything, and they don't appreciate it when their partner criticizes them or gives them negative feedback. The deal is they provide the caretaking to their partner, and they'll receive the connection they need in that way. So this is it's not in all relationships with the ENFJ, and the more the ENFJ develops themselves, they are able to have more of that partnership and let their partner help them. But as long as their self-esteem is regulated by their partner being the one that needs help and caretaking, and of course that extends out to their family and friends and the community in general, that as long as they are so busy taking care of others, then they don't focus on themselves. And ENFJs have a habit of really neglecting themselves and not taking care of their actual needs. And as I said in the opening, there's so many wonderful things I can tell you about the ENFJ. And if you want to know more, check out nowfixyourrelationship.com, where you'll find out the ENFJ, all of the resources we have, and all other personality type resources. This workshop is for anyone struggling as an ENFJ or experiencing ENFJs because of their self-protective, codependent, unconscious behaviors. So understanding how they bond is really, really important, both for the ENFJ and for their partners and anyone else in relationship to them, because as meeting their need is very important to them relaxing and getting them to stop fussing and doing things for you. So their way of bonding is to fuse by becoming one with their partner and being the dominant partner in the relationship. They decide that they are the social boss. They are the relationship boss. It's not like they're the boss of the outer world or the work or anything else, but they are the caretaker of their partner's needs. Their partner's needs come first. And by putting their partner's needs first, they get their need to be connected. They make sure their partner is dependent on them from everything, from doing their laundry to making their lunches, and become indispensable, anticipating and taking care of their needs even before their partner knows they have a need. And sometimes they'll even ignore their own needs and break their own plans if their partner wants them to do something, anything to make their partner happy. To be psychologically secure, ENFJs need a consistent feeling of connection to their partner. That's why they like to be with them and spend time with them and talk to them. So they create that connection in the absence of their partner by thinking about their partner and what they might do for them. They're like detectives when it comes to their partner's life, and they need all the juicy details and updates to feel connected and involved with them. And if their partner keeps things under wraps, they'll be more suspicious than a cat staring at a closed door. What's going on in there? Why won't you tell me? They'll wonder, and they can take it as a personal affront if their partner doesn't confide in them. It's like they've been locked out of the secret club and they don't have the secret handshake. In other words, they get anxious because their partner, by not sharing has broken the connection. They can even resort to some trickery or blackmail, or I'll give you my last slice of pizza if you tell me what's bothering you. But really, they just want to be there for their partner and help them through whatever they're going through. So if you want to keep your ENFJ happy, don't keep secrets from them. ENFJs also have a tendency to idealize their relationship, which means they have a vision of how their relationship should be that's almost impossible for people to live up to. They put their partner up on a pedestal so high, they need a ladder sometimes just to say hello. But here's the thing, nobody's perfect, not even ENFJs. It's a shocker. But they idealize. It's part of the job of the feeling function of the brain with the visionary to envision a desired future state. And so you get the idea of seeing their partner at their highest potential and then relating to them as though they're already there. So when their partner falls short of these expectations, which, who's not going to, ENFJs can get a little intense, like, why can't you be more like that perfect version of you that I made up in my head? This can be a problem because it leads them to inadvertently overwhelming their partner with advice on how to be the way they want them to be. ENFJs may put so much pressure on their partner to meet their vision that they can feel like they can't possibly live up to their expectations. So they without knowing they're doing this, ENFJs can make their partners feel like they're not good enough. So as ENFJs are like superheroes of emotional support, they have to swoop in to save the day when their partner needs help, armed with their compassion and empathy and so many different ways of helping, because ENFJs are likely the person most often to buy self-help books and then use it to help their partners and to help other people in their life. And they're a bit like emotional Sherpas, guiding their partners through the treacherous peaks and valleys of life, carrying the responsibility for them while ignoring themselves. They genuinely care about their partners and love them very deeply and will do anything to help them. But at their worst, they're like the emotional paparazzi, collecting juicy tidbits of personal information to use as leverage. They'll help their partner, but only as a way to create a sense of obligation that they can cash in on later. They know all of the tricks, and it's not like I'm saying that ENFJs are emotionally manipulative, although it can seem that way. But what they're doing is they're trying to meet their need to be connected. And if they can't do it one way, they'll come up with another way of doing it so that they can really know what's going on with their partner. But good luck getting them to spill the beans on their own personal life. It's like they're playing a game of emotional chess and they're always 10 moves ahead because they are the ones withholding information. That's their power. They don't need anything. They act as though they're the one who is always in control, always there for everybody else. They don't need anything, which makes them feel superior. Again, unconscious processes. Every personality type has a way of doing this to stay psychologically safe and secure in relationships. But this creates problems in their relationship. And so here's the first challenge. And as I've been talking about the way they are like magicians in relationships, knowing how to talk to anybody, anywhere about anything, and bringing people around to spilling the beans even when they don't want to. When you're with your partner and your partner starts thinking, gosh, they're always doing things for me. They're not letting me do anything. I'm feeling so guilty, and I want to do something, and gosh, you're in my head. Please get out of my head. I haven't even thought about what I want to do when I grow up. I don't know where I'm going next in my career, because ENFJs are often the person behind the successful partner, pushing them and driving them and orchestrating them so that they can achieve what the ENFJ believes their potential to be. So here's the first challenge. They over-empathize out of caring. They're so empathetic, they practically go around feeling and expressing the emotions of others while having some pretty on-point judgments about what's wrong with feeling the way they do, or telling them what to do about it. They sometimes take it a little too far and get themselves in trouble. So they care so much about their partners, they can forget to take care of themselves. So they're a bit like a sponge, absorbing their partner's problems and forgetting that they're human. Over empathizing is a crossing of a boundary. It's getting, assuming that you know what the other person is feeling without really checking it out. And over empathizing and maintaining personal boundaries can be a real problem for them. And partners can take advantage of them, or they can feel invaded by them, that they don't have personal space of their own. And they can empathize to the point where they over-identify and are in danger of really fusing with their partner, believing that it's their feeling. So if their partner's feeling down, they can start thinking that they're depressed, and they're not. And so they go down with the ship, as it were. So at this point, they run the risk of losing their own sense of identity. They're so concerned about the problems of their partner and so involved that their partners feel like they're disappearing. And so both parties, in some ways, in a relationship where there's too much fusion and one person over-identifies too much and doesn't leave enough space for their partner to come out, both parties can lose their authentic self and both go into their own self-protective strategies. So what to do when they overextend themselves? You need to help them stop empathizing. And it's important in the first step, because they're really sensitive to feedback and criticism, and any sort of feedback as a criticism instead of just I'm making an I statement. I feel like you're in my head. Will you please just let me feel what I'm feeling first? I'll tell you what I'm feeling, and then you can comment. Because they can assume to know what their partners are feeling. But it's really important to first empathize with them. They need that feeling that you aren't criticizing them, they haven't done anything wrong, and they haven't failed you, to actually take in what you have to say. So appreciate their good intentions and the value they bring. And once you've validated their emotions and their need to help, introduce the idea of healthy boundaries. This can involve helping them recognize situations where they're taking on too much emotional responsibility from you, gently reminding them to take a step back. You can also help them identify their own needs and encourage them to prioritize themselves over you. It's really important to approach this conversation with that type of understanding, not getting them on the defensive, having them feel guilty or conflicted about setting boundaries and putting their own needs first. The second challenge that partners have with the ENFJ is they can come across as nagging. So the habit of nagging their partner, it comes out of the extroverted feeling function that is acutely attuned to the emotional needs of their partner. The ENFJ puts a great deal of energy into caretaking, as I've said, making sure their partner's happy. And it's this idealized version of the partner that the ENFJ feels so responsible for that they have to keep on their partner to keep them moving toward that goal. And if they see them slowing down, based on their idea of how quickly they should be moving, they have a tendency to be critical. They feel that their partner isn't living up to their expectations. And so they don't nag because they're trying to be annoying, but because they genuinely care and they want their partner to be their best self. It's going to feel a little controlling, though. It feels like to the partner that, I'm trying to be fixed, or you're trying to parent me. If the partner has any symptoms of the imposter syndrome, it can trigger feelings of self-doubt, and that their partner, the ENFJ partner, thinks that they're not good enough. But really, the ENFJ believes that that they themselves are doing their partner a disservice by not pointing out areas where they can improve. and of course, their partner's goals are their goals. Their partner's feelings are their feelings. That's that over-involvement and that moving into managing every part of their partner's life and career. And so it's really important that ENFJs really learn to not over-identify and become over-controlling of their partner. So if you're in a relationship with an ENFJ and they keep nagging you, don't get upset with them or call them a nag, dismissing their concerns. You have to shift them over to the left brain and find out what their issue or worry is. It's important to communicate openly, set boundaries with them, let them know how this nagging, this constantly reminding them makes you feel, so you can work together to get to the underlying issue. You can also tell them which reminders you're okay with and which ones you're not. If there are areas where you need to improve, you need to be open to the ENFJ's feedback and ask for their input in making changes. And this will make them feel more like they're a part of the solution rather than nagging at you. And it's always a good idea to show your appreciation for all the ways they support you. The final challenge is that if you piss off the ENFJ, they will give you the deep freeze. And anyone in a relationship with an ENFJ, a socializer, knows what it feels like to suddenly feel like a frozen wall has come down. And ENFJs really don't know how to handle it when their partner hurts them or disappoints them or otherwise falls off the pedestal. And talking about it, of course, for them can make them feel like they're going to create more disharmony. And so they become disconnected, a bit like a ship lost at sea. But then they get angry, but it's all of this is going on inside. And then they retaliate by creating more distance. And so they'll ignore their partners when they're upset with them, not paying attention to them when they're talking, or not responding to messages, calls, or other attempts at communication. And ENFJs might also avoid them by not being in the same room with them, or they'll fill up their social calendar and not be home at the same time as their partner. But it's in conversation where it shows up the most. They become cold and unempathetic. Imagine that this most empathetic human being moves far from their natural way of being, dismissing their partner's opinions and ideas without really listening. They might even tell them their thoughts aren't important or relevant to the situation, becoming cold as an iceberg in conversation, dismissing their partner's opinions like they're a fly buzzing around the ENFJ's head, annoying and easily swatted away. So, what's a partner to do? Address their fears and empathize. Again, anger doesn't work with these people. Anger doesn't work with most personality types because it doesn't bring people into harmony. It's important to recognize this behavior is rooted in a desire to maintain harmony and avoid conflict. The ENFJ is avoiding direct confrontation because they fear it's going to damage the relationship or cause more hurt feelings. So approach the situation with empathy and understanding. Recognize what they're doing, and behind the ice is likely pain, likely anger, likely fear of something. So avoid criticizing or blaming them. Instead, focus on sharing your experience and emotions. So, for example, you could say something like, when you avoid me, I feel disconnected and hurt. I want to work together to find a way to address this issue and move forward. Then work together to identify the underlying issues that are causing the ENFJ to engage in these punishing behaviors. This could involve exploring their needs and desires, as well as any fears or concerns they may have about the relationship. So I hope this session on our beautiful ENFJ, these caring, compassionate souls, has given you some insight into their humanity and the types of things they struggle with in their pursuit of a harmonious, idealized, beautiful relationship with their partner that they really work hard to create and sometimes overstep the boundaries by taking too much responsibility for caretaking their partners. And if you want to know more, to find out more about this relationship style, check out the relationship report for the Socializer, the ENFJ, or get our relationship toolkit for the ENFJ, which includes an in-depth video training on all things ENFJ. These resources are also available through nowfixyourrelationship.com. There's so much more to be learned about the ENFJ and all of the other 16 personality types. So stay with us. We're hosting a LinkedIn Live episode for each of the 16 types throughout our Relationship Empowerment Month. And I hope you'll join us tomorrow to find out about the ENTJ, the leader, the other extroverted thinking type, and some tips on how to deal with them in relationships and romance. As I said, we've got so many resources for you. So if you can't make it to our live episodes, hop over to nowfixyourrelationship.com to access all the posts and recordings, as well as to check out our schedule for the month. And if you're an ENFJ experiencing relationship issues, contact us for a consultation. I'm Dr. Ann Dranitsaris, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow on LinkedIn or Facebook Live. Bye for now.